Hello everybody, my name is Burnda1 and you are watching a new segment that I'm going to attempt to do, which is basically a DeviantArt group highlight. It was actually an idea that was brought to me by the admin of the group that we're going to be highlighting today to basically feature the community he's created and the kind of stuff that goes on. And I thought that was a really good idea because DeviantArt groups are awesome, and on the Computer Crusaders we love DeviantArt, obviously, because it's a great community for people to come together and basically share their artwork and give exposure to, inspiring artists and things like that. And I thought this was also a very cool idea because basically through his knowledge, maybe some other deviants out there or other artists on DeviantArt could get some helpful information about how to make a good DeviantArt group or a successful DeviantArt group, and expanding their basically their little community or whatever, like little niche of artwork that they enjoy. So I thought that was a cool idea, and this is basically what we did with it. So the following after this is the interview that I did with the admin of this episode's feature, and I'm hoping to do some more highlights like this of other DeviantArt communities, and maybe give them some more exposure as well, because that'd be a cool idea. So if you are an admin for another DeviantArt group and you would like to do some kind of highlight, or if you're watching this and you would like me to highlight any DeviantArt group out there, let me know in the comments below, and I will see what I can do. So thank you and enjoy the interview. So today joining me is Naval Cult. You also go by Chaotic Discord, right?
Yes, that is correct, Naval Cult. I can go by that if you'd like. Chaotic Discord, CD, C-Discord, whatever works.
But on DeviantArt, it's Naval Cult, correct?
Yes.
So that's what we'll go by today. But anywho, first, before we start off, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. I've been in this spectacular pony fandom for 3 years now. When I first started getting into it, I was really big on community management of like message boards and stuff like that. I was on MLP forums for almost a year and a half, being a moderator and then administrator, and then other things like that. And just about a year ago, I kind of shifted my focus towards DeviantArt and Derpibaroo and a bunch of other pony art sites, focusing on art commissions and other forms of community management. So DA groups, because DeviantArt has the best streamlined way of running your own community, I've began using those as my kind of flagship for my internet self these days.
Awesome. So I even forgot to mention, this is like basically a DeviantArt group highlight. I don't even think I mentioned the DeviantArt group. So you are an admin to a DeviantArt group, correct?
Yes.
What is the group that we are highlighting today? What is the group you're an admin for?
The group that I created myself today, about a year ago, is MyLittleBButtons, which stands for MyLittleBellyButtons, and is a fandom trend group for ponies. A very unique fandom trend, I might add. It's a project that I've been personally spearheading for just about 8 months now. I'm sure a lot of our viewers know of all kinds of fandom trends, like ponies in socks, and ponies with juice boxes, and fluffy ponies, and so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, and there's groups for all of them.
Oh yes, there are groups. There are groups everywhere. However,
but it's fabulous, though.
It is fabulous. I'm quite enjoy the socks. Quite enjoy the socks. But as far as this fandom trend goes, the pony belly button thing, when I first got into DeviantArt a year ago and I told myself, I was like, oh, okay, so I think I should start getting back into group management, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I looked towards, I've had this kind of thing for finding belly buttons cute. It's just kind of this thing I have. So I kind of looked around the fandom and I had noticed that this wasn't really something anyone had ever really touched upon before. I mean, there'd be an individual post somewhere on some random message board of Rainbow Dash 2578 saying, "Oh, I love ponies with belly buttons. That's so cute." But
yeah, Rainbow Dash fan 1375.
Right, exactly. But aside from these completely random, completely non-organized occurrences, there really was no presence for this fandom trend whatsoever. So I, on a whim, one October night, decided to, okay, let's click that create group button and go for it and see where the hell this thing goes. And
well, that's awesome.
Yes. So here we are. We are almost exactly a year later. Just had our group anniversary a few weeks ago.
Looks like founded on October 26, 2013, right?
Right, exactly. So just around Halloween, we had our anniversary. It's
Nice.
pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy where we are now, actually.
So, over a year of belly button group awesomeness.
Yes. In
No,
that time, we've amassed member scales and artwork amounts that my limited math skills couldn't even begin to comprehend.
it's awesome. Almost 2,000 members, where it looks like you are 42 members shy.
Yes.
Soon to that milestone.
A very nice milestone, actually. Yeah, I've been looking forward to making a blog about our milestone for a while now. I've got it in the draft works.
You know, I'm glad you approached me to do kind of this little highlight thing, because I feel like your groups have been very iconic, especially in like the DeviantArt groups that I've seen. Like, was when I first started in the fandom in about 2012, I want to say, like some of the smaller groups, so like My Little Juice Boxes or whatever the heck are popping up, or ponies and socks or cute things like that, or just started up, you know. And then I remember like the first time I'd seen My Little Belly Buttons. Maybe the first time I actually found about it is when one of my own pieces of artwork actually got requested to get into the group, and it was like, this is thing. It seemed almost, you know, silly at first, was kind of my perception of it, and I was like, oh, this is kind of funny, cute thing. And then sure enough, like the whole DeviantArt group is all just belly buttons. It seemed almost like a phenomenon at first, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, the cool thing about belly buttons is that it's really an umbrella fandom trend. Whereas, like with socks and juice boxes, those fandom trends are more kind of exclusive to the concept. So, if fan one wants to make an artwork of a pony with a juice box, you're kind of stuck with making your own, because it's not something that's going to naturally appear like a body part is. So, with like belly buttons, I mean, they're all over the place. Even when you're not going for making artwork of it, it's already everywhere, especially in anthro art and human art. Yeah. And then there are plenty of pony artists who include them on regular ponies as well, just because of personal preference.
Mm-hmm. So I include them myself because I enjoy it in personal preference.
Nice. You have my stamp of approval, man.
Yeah, thank you, Naval Cole.
But yeah, so because of the fact that they're really all over the place, it was really easy organizing a community around it. You just have to organize stuff, make it pretty, invite people, and a few other ongoing tasks, and before you know it, there's just an onslaught of artworks of all kinds of magnitudes. People of all various art skills and styles, too.
That's awesome. So you've been doing this for a year now. Like, what's it been like running something this big? Has it been, I don't know, has it been hard for you, or have you been able to manage it?
If I had tried to run this group to the scale I do now, back when I was still being an administrator of pony forums, I could not have done it, or at least to the scale that it is now. But as it so happened, by the time I had gotten back into DeviantArt about a year ago, it was the same time I had fallen out of, burned out, if you will, on doing the whole admin thing.
Nice, good pun.
So, so I had cut myself off from doing the whole drama thing, taking care of being a police guy on forums, and began relaxing in my big chair with my fluffy cat and doing some DeviantArt stuff. So it's actually been not at all hard. It's been really relaxing, because this has been one of my ongoing projects of my online self these days. So it's really more of just a fun thing I come home and do to relax from having dealt with produce customers all day long. So
that's awesome, though. Like, yes. It's always awesome to have that outlet. Like, I remember when I first kind of started in the fandom, I started doing vector critiques and stuff for the My Little Pony Vector Club. So it was always great to come home and have an outlet to go, like, help people or do things and, you know, I don't know, feel important or feel like you have a place in the fandom, you know?
It is. The more I've seen my group, this group grow over the past year, the more I've had that feeling of, wow, I'm actually doing something that, you know, is getting some notice and isn't just kind of disappearing into the backwaters of the fandom's tidal wave. So I've actually really enjoyed making this thing something that a lot of people see and a lot of people recognize. In the past, I want to say 2.5 months, I've had at least 10 different people come up to me and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen this group all over the place, man. It's really cool."
Oh yeah,
and stuff like that. And I'm, you know, I just get all warm and fuzzy with this big grin, and I'm like, yes.
On your way to the big time.
Because after this group, after all, this entire concept is all about spreading this fandom trend to the rest of the fandom.
Mm-hmm.
So even the people who aren't on DeviantArt as members of this group, even the people who come to DeviantArt and see this group and they walk away saying, "Oh, that's kind of a cute little thing. That's all I'm looking for, man. That's all that matters at the end of the day."
Yeah, like with all trends, I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so there's a lot of people who are seeing the group, but I mean, to manage something like that, I mean, obviously you said you've been able to handle it, but do you do it all alone, or do you have anyone who helps you along the way?
Literally about halfway through the group's lifetime, I want to say 5-6 months in, I started becoming a little overwhelmed, so I began looking into the fact that I'd need some staff at some point soon. And precisely what I did, before I had staff though, I always had what you can see as highlighted artists. If you look on the group's homepage, you'll see this long list of artists of various styles that basically draw Pony Belly Buttons regularly, of their own accord.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these are anthro, some of these are humans, some of these are pony, and they all have various styles. But they're not technically staff, but I had them as part of the group from the very beginning. But the other two staff ranks, the vice admirals and chief officers, I've humorously punned myself again, naming them after naval officers of the Navy.
Nice.
But yeah, I have a few admins and a few moderators. They mostly help with organizing and keeping gallery content under control, because our gallery folders are organized in like a safe for work primary folder with more mature content in subfolders of those main folders.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, not everyone reads the rules. They kind of jump in the group, and they're like, "Oh man, this is cool, I'm going to submit all this art.
Submit all the things.
Submit all the things," and they literally just go on a rampage from their gallery, and stuff just starts flying in. Of course, this leads to all kinds of build-up. So by the time 6 months rolled around, I'd come on every day, and I'd be like, oh my god, I can't even...
Too much stuff.
I can't even begin to deal with the stuff.
Now, do you know how many submissions you have in your group, or accepted into your group's gallery?
I have tediously and humorously thought about going through the folders and counting them, because I was not fortunate enough to have the brilliant idea to keep track from the get-go.
I think there would be a number here somewhere, or like it would
You'd
list
think
it in
there
statistics.
would be. DeviantArt groups keep track of a lot of stuff, but amount of submissions is not one of them. It's
Sorry.
weird. I don't know. I mean, they keep track of all kinds of stuff, especially in the back of house, where they're in the admin rooms, but I don't know, man.
With 2,000 members, like, the submissions start to pile up, so it'd probably get out of hand, so it's good that you have that extra helping hand.
Right. Well, the thing, too, was before the member base even started growing, myself, especially in my first 2 months of running the group, I practically went through all of my collections that I have on DeviantArt and kind of just completely Gatling gun added artworks. This kind of helped for the exposure thing as well, because when 60 plus submissions are being added daily, a lot of people start to notice what's going on over there.
Yeah.
But
that seems like a lot of submissions.
Right. Well, the cool thing is by the time the ball really got rolling and other members began to pile in and notice what was going on, I didn't need to do that anymore, because by the time that happened, submissions were rolling in without my help or any of the other staff's help or anything else, which is great, because now that gives me more time to focus on the visual aspects of the group, creating group blogs and contests and other things.
That's awesome. Let's see. So now where are we? I guess a question I wanted to ask is, like, you have pretty much I would say a large successful group here. What have been some, like, troubles along the way, maybe? And if there are any, like, what would be some tips for maybe other DeviantArt groups or other, smaller DeviantArt groups to, try to get up to, I don't know, be, the bigger, larger, more successful DeviantArt groups?
Well, you notice I've been on DeviantArt for 6 years now, and through that time I've come to learn some tips and tricks that a lot of other people don't even just comprehend at all. Especially with groups, groups have been on DA for at least 5 years. Don't quote me on that, but it's been around for several years now.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things that you really need to do regularly if you want your group to grow exponentially fast in the shortest time possible. One of those, a few of those features are the invite feature. Every group you own and are a staff of, there's a button that says invite, and you can literally just paste usernames and also paste welcoming messages like, hey, this group, I own this group about so-and-so, I noticed you collect art or make art of so-and-so thing, blah, 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 so on and like that. The invite feature allows you to reach out to the community and invite them in rather than, you know, just hoping for people to stumble upon you and say, oh, hey, this is a cool thing. I think I'll tell my friends about this.
Yeah.
Which just doesn't happen as often as people would hope. So, other things like the affiliate feature, affiliating with other groups, just commonplace advertising outside of DeviantArt to get exposure from other websites like Reddit or, EQD if you're pretty lucky enough, or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And, any advertising or reaching out you can do in general is really going to help, because the thing with DeviantArt members is groups, unless they're already really incredibly known, their member base doesn't really grow by itself very well.
Oh yeah, no. I imagine.
What I've done with this group is I've kind of taken it as a concept on DeviantArt, and I've made it its own little mini website, rather than just another group on DeviantArt. Whereas if you look around, a lot of these other pony groups, they've been around for 3 years, and they've only got 700 members, or very little attention, because a lot of these people, they'll make the group, and then they'll have that new car smell, and they'll be like, oh, this is so cool, I'm going to run this, and there's going to be fabulous things everywhere, and I'm going to have all the members. But then, 4 months down the line, they lose interest or whatever else, and the group just stagnates and just stays that way because they never got to a level where it became self-maintaining.
Yeah, the life of many projects.
Right. But thankfully, like I mentioned earlier, because this is now my main solo project and I'm no longer getting torn to shreds by trolls on message boards, I am now focusing on making this thing happen. And I'm happy to say I think most of the upfront work is done at this point, because it's gotten to a point where the community is so large, it's kind of helping me run itself.
That's awesome. So people basically just submit, everyone just kind of submits their own thing, and people know where they want to submit it to. And obviously, since you're a popular group, they know that submitting to your group will help other artists, get some exposure and stuff like that.
Right. So for anyone looking to create DeviantArt groups, or hell, anyone who's looking to make any community, I would pass on the advice that you do not want to just create your project, make it pretty, and then expect people to jump to you, because the sad fact is there are probably some kind of alternatives elsewhere. So the goal is to make yourself look exponentially better than anything else your potential audience could use instead. So you want to take what you have, go beyond the limits of what anyone's usually seen before, and make it something that's really worthwhile, really visually appealing, very informative, something that the average fan is going to look at and be like, oh, this is cool, this is open, I can post stuff here, I can interact here, and I'm going to get noticed as well through the process.
Yeah, that visuality is really important, especially with things that, people want to be a part of. Yeah, well, anyway, so let's talk a little bit about submissions. So, people that, just what people can submit to the group. What do you accept? What do you not accept? Maybe some rules or something?
Right. The rules, from the very, very, very beginning, I've aimed for this group to be very open in several regards. The only 3 big rules for submissions are submit to the correct folders yourself, because as you'll know, a lot of DeviantArt groups, they'll just have a folder that says sorting, and, the people will just shove whatever they want in there.
Yeah,
with
and
this
then
group,
the moderators do the sorting.
Right, exactly. Moderators do the sorting, and then everything's hunky-dory. With our group, because our staff are often busy focusing on other projects, we ask our members to just kindly make sure they post things to the correct folders. There are simple guidelines on the front page and inside individual folders, which will point people to know exactly where to post stuff, which has helped a lot. Aside from that, the only really huge rule I'd say is all submissions gotta have a belly button, man. if there are no belly buttons,
the golden rule to MyLittleBellyButtons.
The holy grail of MyLittleBellyButtons is there are belly buttons, and there are lots of them. But aside from that, I mean, maturity, content level, artist skill level, anthro, pony, human, hybrid, centaur, frickin' merpony, doesn't matter. It's got somewhere to fit in the group, and you are more than welcome to post it there.
So it's an extremely open group, with the
Right.
one exception that it has to meet their niche, basically.
Right, it has
your
to meet
group's
the
all
niche. I mean, obviously, written works and a few other types of media just don't naturally fit because, I mean, you know, it's kind of like this. I mean, it's like a visual artwork based trend, I want to say.
Yeah.
I mean, you could technically make a story where a pony does something along the lines with their belly button, but the chances of there being more than 2 of those in the entire fandom are pretty slim.
But there's still a place for it. So,
Right.
well, let's talk about that next. Let's talk about your theme. I mean, just I don't know, of belly buttons in general. You mentioned that it was just something you find cute. Like, I find it cute too. I guess I find that's an extremely human feature, and so then often you find it in like the anthro region, like when your pony is human. But even on like normal ponies, I usually include it because I find it a cute feature. But normally it like falls under anthro.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Why don't you talk about it a little?
It is, belly buttons really, through the majority of artwork, and any member who's a part of our group and watches the submissions pour in will notice this as well. I want to say 60-70% of our artwork is usually anthro or human ponies, because that's where a lot of the pre-existing artwork gets added from.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of these submissions have belly buttons already, because, it's an anatomy feature, and people are like, oh yeah, well, their stomach's visible, gotta add that belly button, man.
Mm-hmm.
But with regular ponies, it's usually a treat, because then it's artist preference, and they're adding it because they find it cute, and they want to add it themselves, and that's usually the best scenario that I love to see when I stumble upon new artworks.
Ponies with belly buttons.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
well,
the artist has to gone out of their way,
Yeah. It's a cute feature. It's also a feature that sticks your art out from other ponies, I feel like, because since the majority doesn't, because the show doesn't, it makes your style a little more unique than perhaps the average pony artist might be.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get at when I ran out of words, because saying it's basically a human feature, because it's like, obviously ponies don't have it, so to incorporate it on a pony, like not an anthro character, like a humanized character, you see it, and then you relate that as a human feature. And like on humans, I find belly buttons cute. Something else that I'll see on ponies is collarbones. So like, sometimes like when I'm drawing ponies in different positions, I will incorporate collarbones, and like that's also a humanizing characteristic, but not something you often see on ponies.
Right,
so,
right, right. The extra little anatomy features that stick out and make the ponies a little more unique, stick out a little more, and provides your own style to how they're drawn and how they look.
It's like, I find ponies extremely human, so
right.
They're ponies, they're colorful mythological horses, but to still include some kind of, I don't know, humanizing characteristic just seems like, because they are so human. I mean, they act like humans. They stand there. They have like wrists that pick stuff up magically,
Right.
I mean, they're basically like oddly shaped, colorful people, But,
right. Yeah. They look like us. They talk like us. They sing like us, and they have our problems.
Exactly.
The animators and show writers made these characters to identify with humans, and that's exactly what they do.
It's like, if you find a belly button cute, you throw it on something that's already cute, and you have something that's double the cute, right?
Yes, exactly.
And there you go, and then you have your group.
Yes.
Alright, I like it. So let's see. So I know you came to me with some thoughts about expansion and stuff. So like that's would probably be something good to talk about for other maybe DeviantArt groups out there who are looking to go upon their horizons, or maybe they've stagnated. Can you talk to me about, I don't know, that concept of expansion that you were mentioning?
Right. So the whole expansion thing comes in kind of two categories for me. One of them is just the simple idea of advertising outside of DeviantArt, which is, I've done it in forms of paying for a little cute ad banner on a site or a message board or something, to actually talking to other sites and organizing some kind of Tumblr post or some kind of blog post or something that talks about the group, and then I can do something in them for return. The other side to it, the actual expansion side, is finding websites that are also art-based and creating what I call outposts on those sites for the group.
Mm-hmm.
I've done this on Tumblr already. There's a safe-for-work/not-safe-for-work Tumblr blog called MyLittleBellyButtons as well. This updates periodically a few times a week, basically includes new commissioned artworks that the group makes, or if there's a contest going on, it'll talk about that, stuff, simple stuff to keep the Tumblr base updated as well. But the basic idea of expansion is just to, reach out to sites that other fans are going to use instead of DeviantArt. Because
but
obviously,
other outlets that aren't DeviantArt.com.
Right. Because as I've found, especially with this wonderful horse fandom, is people love to live on Tumblr and a few other sites that aren't DeviantArt.
Yeah, we found that too.
So that's exactly why I was like, okay, well, I'm not personally a huge user of Tumblr, but what the heck? I'll make a group outpost for it and update it every once in a while, and we'll see how merry things can be.
Yeah, I mean, you've reached out to me, and here we are.
Right, exactly.
There you go. The next little note I have here, and some future goals, baby.
Future goals. I mean, aside from the obvious what I just talked about, expansion and advertising,
Getting bigger.
I'm really hoping to have the group. I want to have the blog side of things increase as well. Myself and one or two other staff members are the only blog writers right now. I think one other person for the most part. And our blogs aren't as consistent as I'd like them to be. Our blogs usually consist of highlighting a specific artist or highlighting some recent artworks that got submitted to the group that are really, really high quality and are really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Or some other things like that. Mostly art promotion with the occasional contest or simple art feature/event. But I'd really like to maybe add some other things to our group arsenal. Maybe some charity type stuff. I have no idea, but I'd like to expand the horizons with the periodical side of the group, because the art side and the appearance have kind of reached a plateau right now where I feel like we're really nice, and I don't need to focus too much on that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like advertising off-site, talking with other pony entities like the Cutie Art Crusaders,
hello,
and also building the on-site group blog/journal to include more fandom-related stuff and maybe some charity work as well would be a great way to move on from here.
Yeah, you mentioned the concept of kind of highlighting artists or giving artists work exposure, and I like that. And a lot of people on DeviantArt like that too. Most often the posts I see that are really popular is, featuring awesome art to give exposure to hopefully artists that need it. Where not a lot of people find out about the art, but they have fantastic art. I remember when Joey Darkmeat, back in the day, was small, and then he kept getting on subreddits, or he kept getting on other DeviantArt groups and stuff, and then he really exploded because he's awesome and he deserved it. In fact, speaking of just artists and supporting artists, you actually mentioned that you are a commissioner of artwork, and I should note that you are a very, how should I put this, extreme commissioner of art. You commission a lot of art, and that's awesome. I really, really like to see that. I love anything that supports artists, especially being on something called the Cutie Art Crusaders. And I always make it a personal thing upon myself when I go to conventions or anything like that to support artists. So I would love if you would talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Commissions is another thing I got into back a year ago when I decided I was going to start my DeviantArt pilgrimage up again. I used to be into writing and a few other things, but I've kind of dropped out for the moment for doing my own creative style, at least posting. So I'm kind of building stuff on my personal front. And while I do that, I decided I'm going to start supporting things and kind of running things. So in addition to running groups like what we've been talking about today, I have been commissioning artworks upon artworks. A lot of those commissions aren't actually for me. They're actually for groups I run to support the very fandom trends that they're about. So like if you look on the homepage of the group, even on like the About Us page where I've put some extensive info, most of those artworks that you see are commissions I've gotten specifically for this group specifically. Is like info images to help people navigate where stuff is, or to just, kind of make things pop and kind of really give a feel of, wow, this is a really, filled out group, this is kind of cool kind of thing. So on the off chance that I do commission stuff for myself, it's usually just my Pony-sona doing something cute or, something for my own page. But for the most part, I stick to canon commissions because it's something everyone can identify with, and it's something everyone's going to appreciate, not just myself.
Yeah, and obviously it supports artists, which is awesome.
It does.
And, it also supports the group, too. Obviously, if you're commissioning artwork that, specifically shows off belly buttons and things like that, then that's obviously going to be fuel for the group, spread the group. And obviously, if you're commissioning awesome artists, people are going to see those commissions by those awesome artists and see that they have belly buttons and see that they're in your group. And it's another good way to spread your group. So it's like another, I would even call it like another tool to help push the group forward.
Money is definitely one of the tools that is in my shed right now. So I decided, well, I'm going to use it, and that's pretty much where I've gotten, man. My folder of commissions is bursting to the buttons, so to speak. And I've gotten to the point where I've just gotten some great artworks from all kinds of artists who have made artworks I've been able to show off on the group and on my own page, as well as other places that I'm ecstatic to have commissioned.
All right. Well, there you go. Hopefully that, for, I guess, people watching this, hopefully that gives them some good, information on DeviantArt groups and, how to help their DeviantArt group, because that's really what I wanted to do here, having this little interview with you, is, help other people, help things, help artists, maybe help aspiring groups. So yeah, so hopefully this was a decent little segment. Before we wrap things up, did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about or mention? Any points that we might have missed?
Not a whole lot. I would want to add that if anyone watching this feels like they have more questions, or if they have this issue with something related to DeviantArt or group running, you can definitely send me a note if you have an account, because I'm usually online doing something. And I have plenty of experience knowing how DA's quirks work in and out, so I can probably give you an idea of something you could do to spice up your group. Or, just help you with general DeviantArt logic, because as I've found out, my guru-ness to DeviantArt is not a very common one. A lot of my friends are like, oh, well, dude, I'd use DeviantArt more, but I don't even understand what's going on. I can't even... Well, these controls don't make any sense, man. And I'm like, okay, well, I can help you out with that.
DeviantArt gets a lot of flack, but I love it as a medium. It's great for what you're doing here, for running communities, for gathering art in a place where people can view it and view it with other people, and it's been awesome for us in the almost 3 years that we've been doing this. So
that's awesome.
It's fabulous. I don't really see any of the complaints that it normally gets. But yeah, anyway, other gripes. But that's an awesome open invitation of you. That's very kind. So if there's anyone out there who does need some help with DeviantArt groups, they should definitely contact you, because that's honestly really sweet of you. So let's move to plugging things. Basically, people obviously know the DeviantArt group by now. We've been talking about MyLittleBButtons.deviantart.com, and you also mentioned you had a Twitter. Do you have anything else?
A Tumblr. I have a Tumblr. Right at the moment, I've thought about making a Twitter, but
nope, got it backwards.
That's all right. They both start with T's, so there's no problem.
Yeah, they're the same things.
I've thought about making a Twitter. I'm just not too sure. My thing is, I I like to know how to use the site inside and out before I start using it regularly.
Yeah, and Twitter's kind of a special art.
Right. Even with like Tumblr, I was like, oh my god, this. I'm on frickin' Aliens right now, man. I don't even know what's going on. So it took me weeks to start figuring out the ins and outs of Tumblr. I'm not sure. What I might start doing is I might start looking for staff to help me run some of these outpost sites. That way I don't add more to my own workload, and I can actually get more community help to help pitch in and spread things out.
Yeah, well, if anyone's interested in that, go hit you up.
Oh, definitely. Send me a note if you're interested.
So we've got the DeviantArt, we've got the Tumblr.
The Tumblr, yes.
And the Tumblr, which is MyLittleBButtons.tumblr.com, correct?
It is, yes.
Oh, awesome. And then plugs for myself. Basically, I've been Burned1, and you've been watching a QE Art Crusaders segment. If you liked any of the info or you found it helpful, and you have any questions that aren't specifically for Naval Cult here, you can also leave them in the comments, and hopefully I can answer them, and maybe you'll troll through the comments as well and see if you can help answer anything like that. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to leave it there. And then if you liked the video and want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe. And that would really help us out, since we're basically just a little budding YouTube channel. So yeah, hopefully this was informative. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed doing it with you, man. I'm glad I contacted you and we've got this thing rolling. And you can definitely count on the group helping you out, helping your new YouTube out for sure. I definitely want to help you guys out there.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. And thank you again for coming on and doing a little segment arena with me.
No problem.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace out.
Peace.